Hi class, we're going to go ahead and start writing our rough draft of our essay. To answer the argument question, the Great Wall of Ancient China, did the benefits outweigh the costs? I'm going to have you start by going to the History Google Classroom, open up the assignment that I have posted, and you're going to find in the Your Work section, the document entitled Great Wall DBQ. When you open it, you will see that I have helped you out by adding the basics for your heading there just to save you some time. My first recommendation is going to be that you go ahead and fit screen for the Zoom. That always makes it much easier to see. Next, I'm going to ask that you just double click on your name. If you just click twice, it'll highlight the word. It's much easier than scrolling. Double click twice and go ahead and put your name there. And then you're going to double click on the due date. If you can look back at the History Google Classroom, you'll see this is due on February 23rd, the evening of February 23rd before you go to bed. So we're going to just put that there. And I've got my name and history already in there. I'd like you to then go ahead and add some kind of a creative title. My title is a pretty lame title, so please go ahead and make a more creative title and more appropriate than mine. But I wrote The Greatest Wall Ever, just to put something there for now. You can always add a title and then change it later. If you go ahead and with your mouse just click down below the title, your cursor should already be blinking in the right place for you to begin typing your essay. It's already indented. You can see with the margins here. If for some reason that is not where the cursor ends up, right after the word ever, you can hit enter and then left align, and then you'll hit tab. Except if you have a right tab stop, you'll have to drag that off, and then you're ready to go ahead and start typing your essay. We're going to start with an attention grabber. I'm going to ask you to make a statement that is interesting and catchy and that makes your argument fairly clear so that the reader right away knows what your argument is, and also it grabs their attention. So go ahead and right now type your opening statement, attention grabber, in that spot. All right, now that we've got our attention grabber typed in there, mine is good walls may not always make good neighbors, but they made a better China. So it's pretty clear and obvious that my argument is going to be that the costs did outweigh the benefits when building the Great Wall of China. Next, we're going to continue our background paragraph by adding some important background information. I'm going to ask that you go back into the History Google Classroom, and I'm going to ask that you go ahead and you can open up the slideshow that I've posted and also get your packet out, and you're going to need to look at your background essay. I'm going to pull it up here in the slideshow so you can see what I'm talking about. We've got our background essay here. The Great Wall of Ancient China, did the benefits outweigh the costs? And we spent a lot of time in class adding notes and annotating, highlighting. Remember, I like to underline. Many of you highlighted. You're going to go through now, take these notes that you've added in the margins and find the ones that are important and apply to the topic and develop them into complete sentences. I'll give you an example of that on my essay right now. But while I'm doing that, why don't you go ahead and grab your background essay, make sure you have that out in front of you. All right, if you'll take a look at what I've done here, I've got some notes. It talks about the Qin being brutal, powerful emperor for many years. It talks about the Qin's wall. Then it starts talking about the Han and the Han continuing to build the wall. So I just went ahead and translated that right into my paragraph here by describing the two important wall-building dynasties, the Qin and the Han, and when they ruled. And then I gave some basic facts about the Qin wall and the Han section of the wall, because remember, we're focusing on these ancient sections, not the more recently built sections. And then I finished my background by starting to delve into the question regarding were the costs worth the benefits. And once you've summarized your background information, make sure you mention the Qin and the Han and when they ruled and some facts about the wall itself. Now we're going to be left with adding our chicken foot. So if you remember, the chicken foot's sort of long and it at times can be broken into two sentences, which is what I've actually done. So go ahead and flip to the page where you've got your buckets and you've written your chicken foot, declaring what the purpose of this essay is. And I've gone ahead and added mine here. So the benefits of the Great Wall of Ancient China were worth the cost. The benefits came in three ways: calming down of the Xiongnu Mongols, the protection of trade along the Silk Road, and opening up of China to new people and new ideas. So these are my 3 buckets. I've listed my 3 buckets here. You can definitely do this in one sentence if you wish. This can become the purpose of this essay is to prove or to argue that the benefits were worth the cost or vice versa. And just make sure you include your position and your 3 buckets in this sentence. And make sure you mention the Great Wall of Ancient China. And once you've done that, you have a nice rough draft of a background paragraph that's ready to introduce your essay. If you happen to finish early and you still have time left, I recommend that you go ahead and copy that paragraph and paste it into the Hemingway tool. We haven't used this for a while. Remember, the purpose of the Hemingway tool is to help you reflect on your writing. The Hemingway tool is just a robot, and it doesn't always know what you're talking about. And so some of these sentences that it says are very hard to read doesn't mean they're necessarily well written. They could possibly be run-on sentences or have improper punctuation and not be complete. We want to try to avoid passive voice. And if you want to hear about passive and active voice, I'll include a link describing that again in a moment. And just go through and see if there are any errors that you can correct. Also, remember, it's not helpful to go ahead and correct the mistakes in the Hemingway app. You need to make your changes actually back in your actual essay. Make the changes, and then once you're finished, copy and paste the changed paragraph back into the Hemingway app, or make the changes in both places. This sentence it's noting is difficult, and it's probably because of these 2-sided dates, and that's okay. So take some time and revise and edit your background paragraph before moving on. Save yourself some time later. And in the next video, we'll start talking about the body paragraphs.